It is a pleasure to be in the presence of my beloved subjects. As you may be aware, I am Anne Boleyn, Queen of England and wife of King Henry VIII. I unfortunately met my demise when I was falsely accused of an affair I did not commit, but due to my husband's lust and anger for a new wife and one that could bear him a son. Nevertheless, we shall not speak of my death, as I do not wish to sadden my lovely subjects. My father, Sir Thomas Boleyn, was a well-respected courtier. He had great plans for me, and so sent me away to live in France, where I accompanied Mary, King Henry VIII's sister, for my first few years, before I moved into Queen Claude's household for another 7. Hence, I had the opportunity to educate myself on becoming Lady of the Court. Not only did I have the chance to learn to be Lady of the Court, I built connections with the French and English royal families, thus building my image. When I returned home to Heather Castle in Kent, I had been informed that I would be a lady-in-waiting for Queen Catherine of Aragon. In 1522, I had many admirers who desired me. I was the main lead, Perseverance, and court mask at Thomas Wolsey's Whitehall Palace. That was when I first met King Henry VIII, where our destinies would intertwine. His passions for me grew in 1526, where he had become desperate for a male heir, in which Queen Catherine of Aragon could not provide. However, I refused to be a royal mistress, knowing the fate of the king's affections once it wore off, and rebuffed his hand in marriage until I was designated Queen of England. It was rather sweet of him to send me love letters claiming that his heart and soul belonged to me and only me. Because his desperation for me and a male heir, I provided him a book written by William Tyndale's Obedience of a Christian Man, where he would use it against the Pope to divorce Catherine of Aragon. It had led to the king leaving the Roman Catholic Church, as the Pope refused to annul his marriage to Catherine. Thus began the English Reformation. Quite the devious ploy I played to remove Catherine from the crown. Once she was removed, I became queen in 1533. I remember it was a grand coronation in Westminster Abbey Chapel. At that time, I was pregnant with my beautiful, magnificent daughter, Elizabeth I. Unfortunately, it would be the last child I had with King Henry, and my downfall soon began. I had multiple miscarriages, which led to King Henry to believe that I may not have been the one to provide him the son he desired. He was rather a superstitious man and believed in any signs that did not favor him. I should have tread carefully once I found he was losing favor with me. Nevertheless, the choices I made only quickened my foreseeable end. As my desperation for King Henry's affections blinded me, I did not predict a former ally, Thomas Cromwell, to plot his vengeance against me. I, too, was not a favorite amongst the royals, and I showed my true colors towards anyone who showed me any disrespect. I was the queen. I was accused of adultery and soon imprisoned in the Tower of London, where I would count my days till my end. I distinctly recall, on the eve of my execution, I facetiously mentioned, "I heard say the executioner was very good, and I have a little neck." as an act of mercy from that bastard of a king, he sent down a skilled swordsman to put an end to my growing wake of hope. To my beloved subjects who are keen to know more, deliver your query and I shall acknowledge.
Your child was Elizabeth. How would you feel that, since you were not alive to see her grow up, how should you feel that she became Queen of England eventually, and in my opinion, had a much better and was much more skilled of a monarch than your husband was?
My daughter was very intelligent, always in her books. I am very proud to have her as a daughter, and I'm very proud of her for destroying the Tudor line. Yes?
So King Henry's other wives were obviously sort of your competition, but I'm curious if you ever feel sympathy for them, or think that, he was hard on them, or they didn't deserve what happened to them?
I believed that they did deserve my sympathy, especially my cousin, Catherine Howard. I'm pretty sure you're all aware that I was related to her. Her and Jane Seymour, the one who took the king from me. But Catherine, she was only 16 years old, an innocent child, naive. She did not know better, and she did not deserve what she deserved.
So, I know it wasn't spoke like back then. That's not meant to be personally expressed, but how did you really feel about being at competition with the other wives? How did that make you feel?
There's a saying that goes around that I was a witch because I bewitched the king playing these little games. You guys call it, I believe, flirting. Or what's it called? Playing games, I guess. And apparently that was something that was called witchery, sorcery. I simply was batting my eyes at the king, giving him the shoulder every time he glanced, and apparently that was considered me bewitching the king. I believe there is no competition.
What do you think about the musical that came about, yourself and the other queens that were married to him?
First, I must say, they have lovely voices. I was also trained in arts, so yes, I do believe they have lovely voices. And what they say about me is quite inaccurate. Again, they were just rumors of me flirting with men just to be a whore.
We have time for 2 more questions. See 1 and 2 over here.
So you're kind of, in terms of being a historical figure, you're most well known for being one of Henry's wives and how you died. Do you wish that people knew more about you, or that you had more of a legacy on your own rather than having to be attached to him?
Yes, because at the time, I was a very loving woman and I cared about my people, and I wanted to give the unfortunate people a chance for education.
How did you feel when you learned that you would eventually become beheaded due to your husband's decisions?
Well, at the time when my husband asked for my execution, I had accepted my fate. On the day of my execution, the executioner was delayed, which in the end made me more fearful and even hopeful that maybe King Henry had decided to change his mind. But no, he sent a skilled swordman instead, which I think, again, in his own words, an act of mercy. Thank you, my beloved subjects.